The Dodgers offseason hasn't been loud. It's been calculated. With spring training right around the corner, patience could turn into a power move, and Kyle Tucker is the kind of swing that changes everything.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Harry Ruiz. That's Travis Rogers, and it's time for the first Locked On Dodgers of 2026, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. On today's show, a new villain may have entered the picture, a Japanese star who did not just pick the Dodgers, he chose a team that the Dodgers fans can't stand. Los Angeles is being linked to stud pitcher Freddy Peralta. Should they trade for him with Milwaukee? But first, why this quiet offseason, Travis, could explode at any moment, and why Kyle Tucker might be the perfect move.
Yeah, the biggest piece on the board still hasn't happened, so everybody's got their eyes on that for sure. We'll get into it on today's episode, brought to you by FanDuel. Before a tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern.
Travis is holding it down every weekday from 3 to 6 on the Travis and DeMarco Show on 710 ESPN LA. And if you're outside the LA area or away from the radio, you can always catch it streaming on the ESPN LA app. As for me, when I'm not on the call for USC football or the Las Vegas Raiders games in Spanish, this is home base, locked in with you, breaking down Dodgers baseball every weekday. If you're new to the show, welcome. You're officially part of our family now. And to our everydayers, you already know, this show runs on you. Watching on YouTube, hit that like button, drop a comment, and make sure that you're subscribed. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast, a quick 5-star rating goes a long way in helping more Dodgers fans find the show. Quiet until this offseason isn't, because so far we can sum it up in one phrase: quality over chaos. They brought in Edwin Diaz, locking down the back end of the bullpen. They brought back Miguel Rojas, a move that makes a ton of sense for clubhouse stability, defense, and depth. But beyond that, Travis, no headline-grabbing splurges, no frenzy, no desperation. And that's where context matters, because you look at this team and it's like, well, you don't need a lot of reinforcements to make the best team in baseball even better. But that is what the Dodgers do when they feel comfortable, when they believe that the roster is already good enough to win, and they're just waiting for the right opportunity, not any opportunity.
Yeah, I think there's two things that go into this. Number one is the first thing that you said, which is there aren't a ton of available spots on this team. You know, I think that the Dodgers are always looking to get better, but, you know, just to quickly go around it, you're not going to get better at catcher. You're not going to get better at first base. You're not going to get better at short. You're not going to get better at third. You're not going to get better in a designated hitter. Your starting rotation is probably overcrowded. Not that you can ever have too much. The one area where there was a big hole was at the back end of the bullpen. You mentioned Diaz comes in, so they fixed their biggest problem right away. The rest of it is, we're going to sit back and wait and see what comes out, which brings you to the next point, which is they don't do stuff just to do stuff. They do stuff that they are convinced is in their best interest, that works for them under the rules that they've laid out for themselves, which is, we're not going to overspend for mediocrity. We're not going to do something just to do something, just because there's a player there. If it doesn't fit into what they have in mind and it doesn't work, they're going to move on. They don't just, well, we got this with this spot. We got to do something. We haven't done anything. Let's get this guy or that guy. They don't really operate like that. They're going to be very strategic. They'll spend money when it's time to spend money, but they don't just do activities to do activities. They are very, very strategic in how they do it. And that's why they fixed it with Diaz as quickly as they did. I'm sure that Tucker is interesting to them. I'm sure that they'll always have their eyes and ears open for a second base issue, for a left field / right field option where you can kind of move Teoscar Hernandez if you need to. But they clearly haven't seen anything that they like at the price that they like yet. And I think that's the most important part, is the big fat yet at the end of that.
Yeah, look, the new year is here. Here's where the clock starts to matter because pitchers and catchers report in just a few weeks, in less than a handful of weeks. And historically, this is when things start to loosen up. When agents blink, when teams reassess, and when leverage shifts, which brings us to a very interesting name. The guy at the top of a lot of boards of the most talented players that are available right now is free agents, and we already mentioned his name, Kyle Tucker. Is it likely? No, in my opinion. Is it impossible? Also, no. And that's what, in my opinion, it makes it fascinating because we've seen this playbook before. Star players are aiming for massive long-term deals, only to find the market colder than they expected. And when that happens, the pivot is usually the same. They get fewer years, huge money per year, and opt-outs that keep control in the player's hand. Look at Cody Bellinger just a couple of years ago with the Cubs. Look at Blake Snell, also the year before he signed with the Dodgers. That's what he did joining the Giants. And it seemed like it was all Scott Boras clients that Boras was trying to get them the biggest contract possible. The market wasn't open to that. And then they got shorter deals for big money with opt-outs that gave them opportunity to go back in free agency if they had huge seasons with their teams. And if you're Kyle Tucker, where do you want to land in that scenario? A team that A, competes every year, B, isn't asking you to carry the franchise, and C, can pay top of the market annual money. Does that sound familiar to you, Travis? Which team fits that description?
Yeah, well, if I were Kyle Tucker, I would have C be priority number one. This is his first big swing at huge money. I'm going to get the money because, nothing's guaranteed. You got to take care of what you got to take care of. This is your first chance to get one of those huge deals. Nobody knows what's coming around the corner. So I would hunt money first. The other stuff obviously is important, but I think if you're Shohei Ohtani or Mookie Betts or Freddie Freeman or one of these guys that has won already, then you can be a little more strategic about winning being more important. You got paid already. I can go and do these sorts of things. That the money for a player like Tucker, in my estimation, is going to be priority number one. I think what's interesting is the closer you get to the season, I think the more leverage goes to maybe not even leverage, but the more opportunities come to the team because you can put together something that you can get out of quickly, even if it's expensive. And I know this deal was terrible from a production standpoint, but it was a good deal from a, hey, at least it's over standpoint, was the Michael Conforto deal, right? It's just, yes, it was expensive. Yes, he didn't perform to expectations, but it's a one and done. It's just he comes in, it didn't work, move on to the next one, and you go from there. So I think that's, Tucker obviously is a better player than Conforto, and Tucker's going to get a different deal than Conforto. But if I'm the Dodgers, I'm looking at this kind of like you're trying to buy a house that you're looking at more as an investment than something that you want to move into and live in the rest of your life. It's like that house at the end of the street's been for sale for a while. The price is coming down a little. The owner really needs to get out of this thing. So, maybe I can get it at a price that I wasn't interested in, but now it's like I can just hold on to it for a while. I can flip it and I can use it at the time being. And if it doesn't work out, I can just move on from it pretty quickly from there. So I think that that's probably what they're doing with a player like that. If they wanted Kyle Tucker, they would have gone and got him. You know what I mean? Like that's just how they do it. They don't wait. If they see something they like, think Blake Snell. Free agency opens, Blake Snell's a Dodger. Free agency opens, Edwin Diaz is a Dodger. They don't wait around and get into the, hey, let's see if we can get this for a few $million less. If they want the piece, they go and get the piece. That leads me to believe that they don't want it at the price that's being offered right now. Doesn't mean that they wouldn't be interested in it at a different price or at a different term. Maybe, again, making stuff up. Instead of 10 years, maybe we can get it at 5 for, maybe a little bit higher dollar AAV, but they're really good at being disciplined at doing what works for them, not just going to get the guy.
Yeah, and look, the Dodgers right now, they're already the Avengers of baseball right now. They got Iron Man right there with Shohei Ohtani, Captain America with Freddie Freeman, Hulk with Mookie Betts. But if you can add Thor in there in a Kyle Tucker, it's like, man, you make things even better. But at the same time, if you don't get Kyle Tucker, you were already pretty much with an unproductive spot all season long in 2025 with Michael Conforto all season long, and you still won the World Series. It would have been a little bit better potentially having the number 1 or number 2 seed and a bye in the wild card round if you had a little decent production out of left field. If you add Kyle Tucker, you would have that. And I feel that would be the last missing piece for this Dodger team. And the great part I feel for Tucker is that he could be the 5th or 6th biggest star on the roster. That's low pressure. That's high upside. That's October every year where, look, when he was with the Astros, he was in October also every year. When he got to the Cubs, he immediately became the best player on that team until PCA took over and was just a stud out there with Chicago. But does this feel like a long shot? Absolutely. But here's the thing. With Andrew Friedman, when he's just lurking around the rim, you don't stop watching the scoreboard because there's an opportunity that he just comes in, gets the slam dunk, and makes the move that just changes all of baseball. And when I'm pretty sure players, they are talking about it within themselves, and it's like, hey, let's join the recruitment, man. Remember how fun last year was? Yeah. Let's help the team get Tucker. Who doesn't want to play with Shohei Ohtani, with Freddie Freeman? That's one of my favorite parts of every game, watching him interact with players that get to first base. And there's not a single player in baseball that can say a bad thing about Freddie Freeman. Who doesn't want to play with Freddie? Who doesn't want to play with Mookie Betts? Teoscar Hernandez. I love, one of my favorite parts of Teoscar was in that first year with Shohei when they having photo day and he's like behind the scenes talking in Spanish with them. It's like, hey, it's a fun clubhouse, a fun team. And if there's one thing that's better than making millions and millions of dollars, it's having fun while you do that. And I feel the Dodgers are the place to do that.
Yeah, no, they're a great mix of all those things that you mentioned. I think it's interesting that you talk about culture, you talk about clubhouse culture, you talk about the ability to fit in and understand your role and all those things. I think that's really important to when they're evaluating who it is that they're going to go spend money on, bring in. And, every time you add an ingredient to a recipe, it changes things just a little bit. Hopefully it changes it for the better. Sometimes you put something in, it's like, I don't love that. And then it's in there. You can't really get it out. So I think they're really careful about who they do add, how they add them at what price. And I keep coming back to this. If they wanted him, he'd be here. And he's not. And so that doesn't mean that he can't come eventually, because I think that it's probably one of those, not at that price, let us know if anything changes and we can rediscuss. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they really need him. But like we've said a million times, Harry, just because they don't need it doesn't mean they won't do it, because if they can get even a little better, they'll do it. And Kyle Tucker would make them better. I just don't think they like the price tag on him right now.
Hey, let Travis and I know in the comments on YouTube, on social media, what you want Kyle Tucker with the Dodgers, which would be fitting that you see King Kershaw step away, retire, and now the Dodgers get King Tuck in the building. I feel that it would be fantastic for the boys in blue. You at home, let me know. You listening to the show or watching us on YouTube, let us know in the comments below. All right, next on Locked On Dodgers. If Los Angeles doesn't make a splash with a hitter, could they do it on the mound instead? The Freddy Peralta rumors are heating back up, but with this rotation, do the Dodgers even need him?
Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame. It's a limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. On Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, they become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. Boosts, bonuses, surprises, and it's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make the move before the window closes. And the timing, of course, is perfect. Right before the games, right before the weekend starts. Gives that little extra energy to Friday night without having to overthink it all that much, right? So before the tip-off, check FanDuel, check the app, see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Thank you for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Dodgers with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com. Once again, LockedOnDodgers.supercast.com, or check the link in the show notes to learn more. Another arm or too many? The Dodgers are once again being mentioned in trade talks for Freddy Peralta, and this time the conversations feel real because the Brewers, they are listening. Multiple contenders are circling, and the Dodgers are firmly in that mix. Travis, here's the thing. Peralta is coming off of a monster season.
Yep.
Durability, dominance, strikeouts, the whole package. And he's under team control for one more year at a very manageable salary, which is exactly why Milwaukee's asking price remains steep. They don't want prospects 3 years away. They want major league ready pitching. And when you talk about major league ready pitching, you could look at the Dodgers rotation and be like, yeah, they could probably let go of one or two players and still have a fantastic rotation available. So that's why the Dodgers they remain in the mix for Peralta, who would change his well, I won't say change the rotation, but when you can say, okay, Blake, take this month off. Tyler, take this month off. Peralta, you know that he could be available all season long.
Yeah, there's a couple of things going on here. Let's start with this. And again, the everydayers will be very familiar with this because we've talked about this a lot, right? That the Dodgers are always looking to get better. The Dodgers are always looking to add pitching in particular. And what they've been able to do better than just about any other team in baseball is, yes, they can spend, but they have assets. The reason teams have to trade with the Dodgers is because they have more attractive pieces than most other teams. Think about, is there another team that could often offer a Justin Robleski, a Emmett Sheehan, a River Ryan, a Gavin Stone, all of these players? Think about what they did with Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May. Those are teams that are players that teams would love to have. And the Dodgers are like, yeah, we can use these guys to flip to get whatever we want that isn't pitching because we have enough of this. So that's always going to be why the Dodgers are in the mix here. Peralta's really good, but if I can for just a second, and I'm going to argue against something that works in my favor, works in every Dodger fan's favor. This situation right here that we're looking at is exactly why most of the teams in baseball are like, this system sucks and we have to fix it. The Brewers are really good. The Brewers had the best record in baseball. The Brewers have a pitcher in Freddy Peralta that is a very, very good player, and they have no chance of re-signing him. They know that he's going to leave, and he's going to go to the Dodgers, to the Braves, to the Cubs, to the Red Sox, to the Yankees, to the teams that the Blue Jays that go and spend all of this money. They know they have no shot at keeping him because they're not going to go and spend the money the way that those other teams do. This is a great example of, we drafted well, we've developed well, we've won, but we're just a little bit short. We don't have a chance to keep him and add a piece. The second these guys get good enough, one of the big boys comes in and swoops and takes them out of the way. This is a perfect example of the system being like, hey, this isn't great for the league. It's good for the Dodgers, and I get it, and I like it because I'm a Dodger fan and we can get great players. But this is a really good example of, we did everything right, and we don't get to keep our guy. That is what I don't want to say 29 other teams, but probably 25 or 6 other teams are looking at saying, this isn't right. Now, do they need him? No. Does it mean that they'll be interested? Yeah, he's really good. There is no such thing as having too much starting pitching. Think about last year, right? Dodgers basically have 2 full starting rotations, and they still were finding guys to try to struggle to get through the early part of the season. We thought Clayton Kershaw would be here, get his 3,000 strikeouts, call it a day, and move on. He was an incredibly important piece to what they needed to do, and he pitched great. And you never know who's going to be available, who's not going to be available. I think you're going to see Shohei pitch not very much this year. I wouldn't be surprised if Yamamoto didn't pitch a lot. Still don't know if Sasaki's going to fall into the rotation. Tyler Glasnow, the next time he stays healthy for a long time, will be the first. Blake Snell typically misses a little bit of time here and there. You're getting guys back like Gavin Stone that are coming off injury. There's nothing guaranteed. So if you can have 7, 8, 9, 10 guys that can do this, they're going to do it.
Yeah, the phrase "we have enough pitching" is never said by any
Nope.
baseball team in the world. So if you can add a Peralta, that's good. And the good thing for whoever gets Peralta in a trade is that you can make him a qualifying offer at the end of the season and get a comp pick in case you don't re-sign him. So for Milwaukee, that's the case as well. They want to get something out of him before all they can get is a comp pick in the next draft. So that's something where that's the Brewers' way that they've played their whole life. So it's like, hey, we got good players. Let's trade them and get some assets in return. Look at Josh Hader. He was the best closer in baseball. They were like, hey, we're not going to pay him whenever he becomes a free agent. Let's get something for him. And all throughout time, it's like, hey, let's trade our guys before they become assets that just turn into a future asset for us, but future down 4 or 5 years down the line. And that's why they want somebody that's available right now. And look, the Dodgers won't move from Shohei Ohtani, from Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Sasaki. But they do have Emmett Sheehan, who they could move from. They do have Gavin Stone, who they could move from. They do have River Ryan, and we can keep on going on and on with Robleski, with other players that have helped this team recently and be like, okay, I'll send you this guy. Let me get Peralta a manageable contract, and we'll add a kicker there with another player or two for your future and let us be the contenders this year. Now, the thing is, do you want to help the Dodgers, the team that swept you in the NLCS after you had the best record in baseball?
Yeah, if I were the general manager of any team, I'm never, ever looking at it as what does it do for you? I'm looking at it as what does it do for me? I can't worry about what you're doing. I can only worry about what I'm doing. And if the Dodgers are offering, and I'm just making something up here, if the Dodgers are offering Emmett Sheehan and Justin Robleski, those are two major league caliber starting pitchers. They've proven they're good in the major league level. Peralta's one, I get two. That's good for me. If the Dodgers are the only guys that can offer me two ready to go major league players, I'm doing it. Does it make the Dodgers better? Yeah, but so what? I'm better too. That's one of the, look, this is one of the things that Artie Moreno is terrible at. And the list is long. It's long of the things that he's terrible at. But this is, well, I won't do a deal with the Dodgers. Why not? Why wouldn't you want to get better players for your team? Who cares what your neighbor is doing? If you're doing better, that's good for you. I go back to the Jock Peterson Ross Stripling trade that he didn't want to wait a couple. It's like, what are you doing? Just make a deal that makes your team better. And I think that's why if I were Milwaukee, if I can get better, I don't care who's offering me what. I got to take something that makes me better. And the Dodgers having that many guys that are going to pitch out of the bullpen, maybe pitch in the minor leagues that are major league caliber, I'm calling them. I want to get my hands on some of those guys.
And look, I'll ask these two questions. Is Peralta good?
Yes.
Is he worth giving away one of your good pitchers who could be great in the future?
Yes.
Then I feel like right there, it's like the answer. It's like, if you can strike when the iron is hot, strike right now that the Brewers are willing to part ways with him. And it's not tricky. But here's the deal too. We go back to segment one. If the Dodgers really wanted him, they would have him by now. So I just feel that as time keeps on going by, it keeps on getting better for the Dodgers, where probably the price tag gets a little bit lower, and it could even be something that goes into the regular season, because there's going to be teams that are going to be in the playoff hunt that are going to be willing to then part ways with more assets. And the Brewers, they could get a couple extra wins out of Peralta before letting him go. But also, less time after the trade for the player with the team could become a factor of the formula right there when it comes to trades.
And guys can get hurt. That's the other great kicker too, is that you just don't know. You know, Freddy Peralta right now is healthy. He's ready to go. And the price is probably going to be about as good as it's going to get. And you're wagering against the closer we get to the day. If he's kicking butt and somebody really needs, maybe the price goes up a little bit. The opposite could happen too. If he's underperforming, if he gets hurt. So if I'm a general manager, I got the car in the garage is nice and safe and it's ready to go, I can get a good price for it. If I take it out and drive it a little bit, maybe you get in a crash before I do and you need my car even more, but I could get in a little fender bender, and now if the car's worth less.
Exactly. All right. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, we stay talking about pitching, but now a new Japanese star just chose one of the most hated teams in the Dodgerverse, and he made sure everyone heard his message loud and clear. Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers, not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rogers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. New villain unlocked. Let's talk about a move that didn't involve the Dodgers, but still somehow feels personal. Japanese right-hander Tatsuya Imai just signed a massive 3-year deal, but not the 9-figure contract that many expected, and more importantly, not with the Dodgers. Instead, he chose the Houston Astros, and we know that he took it a step further where he wasn't talking about fit. He wasn't talking about development. He talked about wanting to beat the Dodgers, and now he's with the Houston Astros, a team that Dodgers fans, we don't need a reminder about 2017, about the feelings, even though pretty much Jose Altuve is the only guy still on that team. It's been nearly a decade, Travis. That's nuts. I still remember it like it was yesterday. But now Jose Altuve, who's always a quiet guy, who isn't a guy that's like all pumping. Yeah, he's trying to keep his jersey on. You don't want nobody to see the buzzer. But he's always a player that is classy, that he isn't looking for controversy. And he seems to be the opposite, Travis. He's like, I don't want to join Shohei and Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki. I want to beat them. Now he has a chance to do it with a team that Dodgers fans, I don't use the word hate lowly, but the Dodgers fans, they hate the Astros. We don't like the Astros. And it's like, okay, this is a perfect. We were talking about, hey, he should go to the Giants and make that something where it's like, hey, divisional multiple times a year. I feel that the next best choice for him, if he really wants to be a villain, is going to the Astros.
Yeah, I think that the only two places that I think would have made this more fun, one you mentioned in San Francisco, the other one would have been San Diego, because, just the rivalry is already there, and the competition and the frequency of the competition that you would get to see. But the Astros are certainly on the list. Look, I dig it. I think it's great that the guy's like, hey, man, no, I don't want to be on that. I want to beat that. That is competitive. That is interesting. It's crazy. It may be one of those things that comes back to kind of bite him in the rear end. But I like guys that like to poke the bear. I like guys that stick the finger in the eye. Like, no, I don't want to be on your team. I want to create a team that can beat you. Now, maybe he knew that the Dodgers weren't I don't know, but I kind of like it. Now, it puts an enormous target on your back, and I'm sure the Dodgers will, it'll come up frequently enough when they play the Astros. And thankfully now, with the way that the schedule is set up, that you're going to get to play them every year. Even if they are an American League team, you get to play them here, you get to play them there every other year. But I like it. I like guys that are like, I don't give a damn. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do this because I don't want to be on your team. I think it's really interesting. I think it's great for baseball that there are guys that like, I don't want to join that. I want to beat that.
Exactly. And last year, the Dodgers, they got whooped by the Astros at Dodger Stadium.
Started their little downward descent in the middle of the summer on 4th of July weekend.
Exactly. So that happened last year, U.S. Independence Day weekend. Now we got him on Cinco de Mayo week in Houston. So I'm like, all right, now it's our turn to return the favor in their place. And I really, really hope that out of those 3 games on May 4th, 5th, and 6th, we get to see Imai at least once pitch against the Dodgers, because that's what sucks. If it's not a team from the same league or from the same division, you don't have guaranteed that you're going against their best starters, which I'd usually be all for, because it's better to play against the 3, 4, and 5 starters instead of 1, 2, 3. But in this case, I'm like, you know what? I want all the heat. Bring on Imai, and you feel confident as a Dodger fan with the players that you have up at the batter's box. And even like the year prior when the Dodgers played in Houston, that was when Freddie Freeman's son started going through that health scare, and the Dodgers didn't have Freddie Freeman. But at the same time, you were like, okay, we're stacked, Freddie. And even if we weren't stacked, Freddie, go take care of your family. We'll take care of business here. But you're in a situation where even if you're missing 1 or 2 key pieces, you got a great roster behind them. right here, it's like, man, all hands on deck. We've heard there's always in sports. We've been involved in sports for many years, Travis. We know that bulletin board material is real and that coaches, players, front office, they always save those tweets or save that clip that they saw on YouTube of somebody saying something. The week that the Dodgers play the Astros, if Imai is part of that starting rotation and one of the probable pitchers, they'll be having all those quotes up in the bulletin board.
The season is so long. And there are very, very few moments where there's that extra little juice to get in a game. I mean, after opening day, you get 5 months of, all right, let's get through this series to get into September to get ready for October. It's fun. We love it. You know, all of our everydayers that love to watch baseball, but very, very infrequently are you like, this is a big game. It just doesn't happen enough in baseball. It's not football. There's just so many games. This will be a little different. This will be one of those, hey, this is a big game. Hey, there is a little something. It is a little personal. There is a little emotional attachment to it. So I'm here for it. I'm thrilled he made that choice. Like I said, it'd be better if he were in the National League so you could see him a little more often. But I like it, and I can't wait to see it.
Hey, quick trivia, Travis. We already spoke about Altuve pretty much being the only guy on the Astros from that 2017 World Series roster. How many Dodgers remain on the team from that World Series roster?
Oh boy, Muncy. No, Muncy was the next year. Muncy was the next. Yeah, Muncy was 2018. Kike, assuming he's back. And
that's it.
That's it. Okay, yeah.
If he comes back, because the other one was Kershaw,
and he's gone. You know who else? Dave Roberts was on that team. And, you know, he's not going to forget. Dave Roberts could be 187 years old, and he's not going to forget. And I know Dave Roberts is a really nice guy. He's got a big smile on his face, and everybody loves him. He's also incredibly competitive, and he's never going to forget.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Player-wise, it would only be Kike if he comes back.
Easy.
And that's the thing. But at the same time, it's like this isn't a divisional rivalry, but it's somewhere where it's like it's personal history between these two franchises, and you add a little bit more now having Imai, the guy that publicly said, I don't want to go to the Dodgers, I want to beat them, being a part of that team, it just increases it and makes it even better. My wife, I'm sorry for Dodgers fans if you're mad at this, she's from Houston. She's a diehard Astros fan. I always said I would never date a Giants fan. I never said anything about the Astros. Unfortunately, I didn't say anything about that because I love my wife. She's the best thing that has ever happened to me. She really enjoyed when we went to Dodgers Astros last year at Dodger Stadium. Cinco de Mayo, we're going to have a little one. We're going to have a 4-month-old baby, 3-month-old baby here in our household, and it'll be her first potentially game that we get to see in Dodgers. I need you guys to win that one, so our baby starts getting. We show her, it's like, hey, there you go. The Dodgers are the way to go. All right,
it's on you, Harry, to make sure that your baby is a Dodger fan and you don't let your wife take over. You got to make sure that you plant your flag early.
Oh, absolutely. By the way, I just noticed the little Dodgers onesie I had back there ain't there. I was about to say, yes, look at that little onesie. It's like gone. I was like, oh man. All right.
your Mrs. Ruiz has hijacked the onesie. She's getting a Houston one made for you. Yeah.
We got battles. We got my friends that are Dodgers fans getting our registry Dodger gear all taken care of, and her Astros friends are getting all the Astros gears taken care of. But yeah, man, it'll be fun. Okay. That'll do it for today's pod. Thank you so much for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Did Locked On Dodgers make your Spotify Wrapped? Prove it on social media to secure a free month of our brand new Everydayer Club. Just tag our national Locked On Podcast Network account on any social platform, and we'll drop you a code. Be one of the first to join the Everydayer Club to get your favorite show ad-free and exclusive access to the members-only Discord. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen of the day Locked On MLB. All right, if the offseason feels quiet right now, don't get comfortable. This is exactly when things tend to change, and we'll be back tomorrow with the latest regarding our boys in blue. Travis, first one of the year is in the books, my friend.
Here we go. Spring training, like you mentioned earlier, right around the corner, and we're going to be talking about games before you know it.
No doubt about it. All right. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.